Broward County in its entirety. We want to let you know that this is a house of worship. There will be no bad words. This is holy ground for us in our community. This may not be your faith, this may not be your church, but I expect everyone to be respectful of this pastor who has opened his doors for us to come in and for this facility. Now, I have reached out, and we will have, I've asked the lieutenant to come over from Fort Lauderdale in case, because we're not going to have no problems. We're going to do the right thing, answer the questions, and not be about foolishness. We want to hear from the candidates, and this is an opportunity for us to hear from you, to find out where you are on issues. There'll be time afterwards so you can ask deeper questions. But we want to know why we should vote for you. And this is your opportunity to say so. I want to start by welcoming you, but also thank the senior pastor of this house, our own. Y'all have a seat, please. Pastor Henry Green III. He has once again welcomed us here. This is the place that this branch had its first NAACP meeting. This is a historical site for this community, for this church. And so we are going to be respectful and be about the business of casting an educated vote. And this is what we're going to do based on information that you all, the candidates, give to us. As we go along, based on whatever time we have left, we'll probably be able to take a couple of questions. We have postcards, so as we move along, we will distribute those. You can reach out to Ms. Burrows, who will be on the front between timing, and ask for a card, or where is Herbert? He may do the same thing. So Herbert, if you have those postcards, that'd be even better. So this is how we're going to do it. We're going to call the candidates. First, the pastor is going to pray. We're going to call the candidates up one by one. They'll sit in alphabetical order. We will then do a 1-minute opening. Then we will commence to asking questions. Language, folk, language. We will ask you to leave if you decide that you don't care about this church and the people in here and start to use the bad language. We want to be about the business of voting. I, for one, have not cast my ballot yet. I don't know some of the people. I'd like to. And so we're asking questions that mean something to this community, and we want to see where they are. And with that, Pastor, if you please.
Amen. If you don't mind, I know it feels a little authentic in here, but if you'll please stand as we have a moment of prayer. If you're able to stand. Father God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this gathering. Lord, we ask special blessings upon the Broward chapter of the NAACP. We thank God for its leadership and its officers who have brought this community together to discuss District 20. We thank you for these candidates who have offered themselves to serve and have a desire to meet the needs of our community. God, we ask that in the spirit of unity, you allow us to come together to get information, that you will give us opportunities to discuss the plans, God, and that you will lead us and direct us in the proper way. This we ask in the name of our Father and our Creator, in Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. You may be seated. Let me turn the volume on my phone down. So I'd like to welcome to the front as our first candidate and panelist in alphabetical order, candidate Luther Campbell. Please come forward, sir. Next, candidate Sheila Sherfilis McCormick. Next, candidate Dale Holness. Next, candidate Teresa Jones. Don't know if she's here. I know that she RSVP'd, so there is a space for her. Next, candidate Rod Joseph. And last but not least, candidate Elijah Manley. So if someone didn't come, it wasn't because they weren't asked, it's because they chose not to come and ask for your vote. We are nonpartisan. We don't tell anybody who to vote for. We just provide the information. And so these are the candidates that have come this evening to ask for your vote. Let's give them another hand, please. So let's start with a 1-minute introduction. We're going to start on this end, candidate Campbell, and then we'll move forward. There should be, let's see. You familiar about these microphones? I'm going to turn that thing on. There's another one.
1, 2. Hello.
Just pass that down. Just press it. Button on there. Okay. Let's pass that one back. Something's going on with this one. Pastor, we have a mic down here that needs some assistance. Go right ahead, candidate Campbell. 1 minute, please. Are you ready for the timer? Sonia Burrows will have the timer. That'll keep you on task. Ready when you are.
Good evening, NAACP.
Good evening.
Y'all not happy to be here today? You should be happy to be here today. It's a beautiful time. It's an election, Congressional District 20. Last time I was here in this church, you were having a meeting about Congressional District 20 and the controversy around Congressional District 20. You know, I want to say this right here. I'm in this race because I'm not a career politician. My name is Luther Uncle Luke Campbell. I am not a career politician. I'm a businessman. I'm a builder. I pour into young people. I build lives. That's what I've been doing all my entire life. I build parks. I build communities. I poured into communities on you name it, I've done it. And that's what my priority is. By looking at this district here and running in this district, right now you need a fighter.
1, 2.
In this climate.
Sorry about that. Give him 4 more seconds. The pastor was checking the mic. Go right ahead.
Sorry about that. In this climate, you need somebody that's going to fight for you. Play games if you don't. If you do, and you'll find yourself on the wrong side of history. Thank you.
Thank you.
1, 2.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Congresswoman Sheila Sheffield McCormick. For the last 5 years, I represented this district. When we started doing our town halls and we started sounding the alarm about what was going on in our district, I'm happy to say that we started our first meeting here with the NAACP, where because of the historic nature, we talked about the mass meetings that we used to have back in the day when we were trying to have our voting rights. And look at where we are now, where our district is about to be eliminated because someone's trying to take our vote. But what's important is that, as you remember, I fought to bring more than $580 million coming to housing, $930 million when it came for economics. But that's not just it. Right now in Congress, we're getting hit from each side. As we're seeing as early as today, there was an actual bill by Nancy Mace to remove the Congressional Black Caucus for being a caucus. We also see the attack on diversity, equity, inclusion. In our district, we talk a lot about the economy, but we got to talk about the 600,000 black women with degrees who were fired within 1 year, and 650,000 black men who do not have jobs. So we're here to fight for that and for our communities. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening, family. Good evening. I'm a life member of the NAACP. This organization was founded in 1909 to fight for equity, equality, and opportunity for all people, but particularly those of color. In this very church, the local branch was founded by Harry and Harriet, two people who lost their lives through bombing on a Christmas morning. The inequities that exist then still do today, is still there today. 74% of the children who are arrested in Broward County are black youths. Black has 1/10 of the net worth of whites. Only 46% of blacks own their own home compared to 76% of whites.
Thank you.
We must still get together.
Thank you. Sir, turn the light off, please. It's way too warm for that. We discussed that earlier. Thank you. Candidate Joseph.
Good evening, Broward. Good evening, everybody. How you doing today?
Good.
This district, we're not here to do politics. This district been mismanaged for the last 34 years. We have 6 schools that closed down this year because of shortfall of budget for $8 million, while we're spending $333 million in the prison system. So think about this. I'm not here to preach you what you already know. Affordability is high. Everything is high. I'm here not to bring a change. I'm gonna be part of the change. Stop playing politics with your future, and then stop listening and falling in love with good speeches. I'm one of you, and I'm here to make sure we have balanced the budget and make sure this district not become the poorest, poorly managed district in the nation. Thank you.
Candidate Manley.
Good evening, everybody. I think we all know that we have an affordability crisis and nobody can afford to live in this community anymore. I think we all know we have a democracy that doesn't work anymore because we have allowed billionaires and we have allowed Donald Trump and his friends to destroy our country. But the real question is, what are we going to do about it? Can we continue the same politics of the past that doesn't work for our community? Or do we fight for new leadership, for fresh ideas, for boldness? Because the only way to get out of this crisis we have in Washington is to try something different. You deserve health care for all. You deserve to live in the communities you grew up in. You deserve a government that works more for you than it does for the billionaires and trillionaires that control our country and our economy. I'm running for Congress to make sure that you can afford to live in this community for the rest of your life. Thank you so much, and I look forward to a debate where we talk about the issues that matter for all of us.
Thank you. These are going to be, set the timer for 2 minutes, please, Ms. Burrows. Everyone will answer the same question. Question number 1. The Voting Rights Act has been weakened by recent court decisions, and Florida has enacted election laws that many believe disproportionately impact black voters. If elected, what specific federal legislation will you support or introduce to protect voting rights, and how will you assure those protections have a real enforcement, not just symbolic value? We will start on the other end with Candidate Manley.
Thank you so much. So first of all, when we get back into Congress in that majority, the first piece of legislation needs to be to pass the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Act. That's the first piece of legislation. But we can do more. We can make Election Day a national holiday, which I intend to do. We can address the issue of states across the South rigging our elections, redrawing the maps whenever they want. We got to fight fire with fire, people, because there's no way we're going to stop the Republicans from rigging our elections by doing nothing. We have to stand up and we have to fight fire with fire. So pass the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Act. Make sure we have same-day voter registration for everybody. We expand early vote. We protect and expand vote by mail for all of us. And make no mistake about it, they're going to try to rig the election this year in the midterms. They're already starting with the work they're doing at the Postal Service with Louis DeJoy and the other MAGA fascists who are trying to attack vote by mail. I won't stand for it. I won't allow it. We need to expand our right to vote, protect our right to vote. We need legislation like the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Act passed, and we need more funding for our elections offices to make sure that they are able to carry out free and fair elections. Our elections are under attack. We need to do something about it. If they didn't believe that your vote mattered, they wouldn't be trying so hard to take away your right to vote, so hard to rig the elections. We're going to win big in the midterms, but we can't just win. We have to deliver for people and make them feel comfortable voting and participating in our democracy once again. People don't believe in our democracy, and that is the issue. Once they believe their vote matters and their voices count, they'll turn out in record numbers. And for our young voters out there, we got to get to the polls, but we got to give people a reason to want to vote and turn out.
Thank you. Candidate Joseph.
We live in the biggest democracy in the world. This is 2026. We have yet to fix the voting rights issue. After the civil rights, 1965, we regained black people, minorities, gain the rights to vote. We still struggling every day today to have that right. But let's not forget, we need to go further. Politicians no longer represent the people. Every politician in DC now, they are for the best money your money can get. I'm here to people that can afford a politician in DC. Lewis Act, that's something that should never repeal. And we're going to make sure we go further than that. Education. We need to start enforcing in the federal budget for high school seniors to start register to vote prior graduate high school, because in Florida they can be registered at 16 to vote at 18. We need to do a groundwork, grassroots, educating people on the importance of vote, because your vote counts. Don't listen to what the media say. Don't listen to what everybody, the narrative out there. Your vote counts. If your vote wasn't count, that will be not all those hoops and jumps to prevent you from voting. I want you to make sure you count and pass that along to the next generation. 2026, accusing of rigging election, both parties, this is a year both parties fail us as citizens. This is the year we take action with a vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Holness.
We must pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. We must. Good people across America must join forces to make this happen. But we also must get a majority in the House, the Senate, and get a Democrat as president. Because that's where the solution starts. We know the Republicans have been pushing back on Voting Rights Act, on people's voting rights. They don't want everyone to vote because they can't control the system as it is. To get the wealthiest Americans a $1 trillion tax break in this big, ugly, nasty bill, and to curtail Americans' rights and to remove protections that safeguards American lives is a wrong thing. We must also fund voting rights groups, nonprofit organizations that are about that. Not only at the federal level do we need to get Democrats elected, but at the state level, because many of these rules that are being changed happens at the state level. I've been at the forefront of leading that charge here in Broward County, helping presidents from Clinton all the way through now to get them elected, helping across the state to get Democrats elected, because the principles of the Democratic Party is about inclusion and opportunity for all. That's why I'm a Democrat. And all of you must play a role in this. In Broward County, I put together the Broward Black Action Plan. And I hope that not just blacks will participate.
Thank you. Candidate Sheriff McCormick, please.
Well, thank you so much. I want to start off by saying I think we all agree that we have to pass the Voting Rights Act, but this is much more than that. You know, we've been fighting in the community by having town halls, educating everybody what's been going on. As it's been going on, we did more than 200, and like I said, we partnered with the NAACP on this. The second thing we've been doing also is fighting in Congress, not just to have the John Lewis voting right bill, but to also strengthen some of the oversight that needs to be there to protect us in our states at home. The third level that we've been fighting on, which is actually the most crucial, is the expansion of the Supreme Court. As of right now, Democrats have put together a plan to expand the Supreme Court. Why, you may ask? Some of the most vicious attacks on voting rights on black access district has been condoned by the Supreme Court. And for us to undo it, we're gonna have to undo and actually start stacking the courts. We already have that plan in place. We need somebody who has experience in the relationships to actually articulate about what we're going through right now, and who does have the legal background to be able to join in the fight at the courts. I've written several amicus briefs to the courts, where the courts have repeatedly cited our amicus briefs, because we understand the arguments. We understand how to fight on all three fronts, and that's what this district actually deserves, someone who can fight consistently on all three fronts. I think the biggest thing for our district that we're now starting to understand is actually the historical context in which made black access necessary. Several people are trying to erase the facts that we were not allowed to vote. Several people were trying to erase the fact that several people died for us to have the right to vote. That there were many people who actually met in this church trying to figure out how we can actually lift up our voices and fight for ourselves. If we allow this erasure, if we allow our narrative to be told by someone else and them not acknowledge our history, that would further condone them erasing our representation and black access, which we fought for and deserve here.
Thank you. Candidate Campbell.
Thank you. Great question. Businessman that I am believes in change. First, we have to get our house in order. Our house is not in order because the Congressional Black Caucus, like the young man said, is not on our side. Not one Congressional Black Caucus member supported anyone on this table right here. They allow a white woman, white, the black. They allowed a white woman to come in this district knowing that they are trying to do what? Do what? Gerrymander a vote and take black representation that has been here for 30 years. So let's talk about, I'm here to talk about the real issue. I'm not here to play games with y'all. It is what it is. We have to get the Congressional Black Caucus in order because the Congressional Black Caucus is not standing with Congressional District 20. That's what it is first. Before you try and change anything, you got to get your house in order. So I propose going down to, as soon as I get elected, I'm walking up in there, not as a freshman, as a person to come burn it down. I'm sorry, because it's not working for us. If you can support a brand new candidate in Congressional District 24, Kendrick Meek, 24 members of the Black Congressional Caucus endorsed him, but you can't find one candidate right here in the most serious district in America. The world is watching this. The world is watching the decision that you make. I'm sorry. It is what it is.
Thank you. Madam Timer, let's go back to 1 minute because that is a very good point. I know lots of things where it comes to the caucus and its failure to act in this piece. So let's go back the other way and let's do 1 minute and see where the rest of you all are on this issue with the Black Caucus.
Well, thank you for that. I want to start off by, you know, Luke, I love you, right? But I do have to defend the Congressional Black Caucus. Before this race began and we got to this level, I do have the endorsement and I did receive the check for the Congressional Black Caucus. I think there are some disappointments that more people didn't stand up, but we did have the leader who did mention the Jim Crow era and not supporting when a leadership is a big issue, and we have to acknowledge that. And we also have to acknowledge that the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus also rebutted and let everybody know that she did not encourage her to run in this district. They actually told her not to run in this district. The real issue is not us attacking each other. The real issue is that we have to start collectively having our power. And what I want to mention about that, even if you're looking at the absentee ballots coming in, right now, white men are outpacing black men by times four. And they're outpacing black women in returning their ballots. There's a problem organizationally with us. We have to organize and fight alongside the CBC, but first, it's at home. I need everybody turning their ballots, especially our community.
Thank you. Candidate Holness.
It is certainly disappointing that the Congressional Black Caucus has not taken a stand and publicly said something about this seat. It's really disappointing. Now, Leader Jeffries did not endorse someone who's supposed to be on his leadership team. That's what they say they are. I don't know that. Because if you were, you would run in District 22 that you can win where you live. And help to take the House back. That's what's necessary. That's what we should be fighting for, is to take the House back. Without taking the House back, we have no leverage in stopping what's going on right now. So, again, it's very discouraging, disappointing that the Congressional Black Caucus has not sought to make statements and to stand and say, look, this is wrong.
Thank you. Candidate Joseph.
One thing I can say, we can see the division within the top of the Democratic Party. They have no vision. While they don't want people like me, like you, to ever hold power. Every election, they come crying, they want a black vote. They remember every single churches on Sunday. Once they elected, they sent somebody that represent them to come to our neighborhoods. We need to stop playing that game of the political parties. Both of them don't like us. We need to realize that to start voting us, to start supporting us. When I say us, I don't care your party affiliation. As long as you're minority, we're going to fight for minority causes. Stop falling in line for their agendas, because our problem still exists after we follow their agendas.
Candidate Manley.
I don't care about the Congressional Black Caucus or what they think about in this race. I'm going to say something a little bit different. The only people whose endorsement matters is going to be the people, the voters in Florida's 20th district. You, your endorsement. When you go to the polls, when you vote, you're endorsing a candidate. And that is the only endorsement that matters to me. Because when I got in this race, it wasn't because of the Congressional Black Caucus. I didn't ask for their permission. I didn't ask for Washington's permission to run for Congress. What I did was I prayed to my God and I asked, was this the right decision for me? And it was. Because our community, our country is in trouble, and I can't sit back and allow our country to be destroyed, allow that bright future for my students to be ripped out of their hands by a government that works for billionaires. Your endorsement matters. Your right to vote is what matters. Let's not get distracted by the Washington's nonsense. Let's stay focused on District 20, on South Florida, and our right to vote, and make sure we turn out in record numbers.
Thank you. So, speaking of accountability, too many elected officials disappear after Election Day. If elected, what specific commitments will you make to remain accountable to the residents of CD20, including regular town hall meetings, public reporting, accessibility, and then why should the voters believe that you will keep your promises? We will start with candidate wholeness this time. 2 minutes, please. I'm sorry. Hold on till she's set. Go.
So I just came in and someone said, Dale everywhere. I'm everywhere for everyone. I'm one of the most accessible elected officials that there have been. My door's always been open, in office, out of office. I don't wait until election time to be in this church. I'm here all the time. In fact, when there was need for help with the building next door, the apartment complex, Elder Green called me on a Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock, wanted help. And I was able to make a call to the mayor of Fort Lauderdale, connect him, and got the funding in place within a short time to help get that building completed. So I'm always accessible. My door's always open. Yes, I'll be in the town halls. I'll have those, and we've had those. Community meetings, community gatherings, homeowners association meetings. Of course, the churches on a constant basis. I am accessible and will remain accessible. In fact, I looked around the room, and I think most of you have got my cell phone number. And if you don't have it, here it is. 954-325-4040. 954-325-4040. Many of you have called me morning, evening, night. People have come to my office on Sunrise Boulevard, even though I'm out of office. In fact, this week someone came in having issues with paying their rent. There was a medical issue, weren't able to work, and they asked, what can I do? I was able to utilize the information I have and resources I had to direct them someplace where they could get the help. So I'm always here in this community. For 51 years I've lived here. I've been on these streets, Sistrunk, everywhere in this community. I know it probably more than anyone else. I tell folks that I'm as good as GPS when it comes to this district.
Thank you. Candidate Joseph.
I don't make promises. I'm a military man. I will give my words. My words is my statement. What I will do first, as I elected, which is I will be elected 3 November. I will open 2 more offices. Even if that take to pay on my own pocket the staff, I will do that. So I can bring government back to the people. Secondly, what I will do, we cannot expect them people only election to start to educate them. A community doesn't have control of our money. That's the reason we're at the mercy of every other community. My guarantee, I want you all to look at me in the eyes here. As I elected within 6 months, I will have a community bank in this district for us, by us, and to make sure we finance our own issues. Because every time we go with the hands out to the other side, no matter whose party is that, we at the mercy of them because we don't control our money. That's the reason we stay poor. They keep selling you prosperity on TV, but in reality, you're still poor. They selling you good life on TV, on newspaper, and in reality, you still don't have a job. I want to make sure I put more money in your pocket by assisting you to secure your own money. And then that's the only way you can have a community that go in this economy. United States is a transaction country. We cannot be complaining all the time. We need to take control of our money before we can ask our community to go further. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Manley, please.
Accountability. Have good staff, have town halls, show up, knock on doors when you get elected, not just when you're asking for votes. Stay around, give people your phone number, but have good staff. But the accountability is not just the member of Congress, it's making sure everyone in our district is also accountable. All the elected officials in our district when they're not doing their job. Because rest assured, people will talk. They will call a congressional office and they will say, my trash hasn't gotten picked up, something's happening in the neighborhood, my city commissioner, my mayor hasn't gotten back to me. And best believe, I will call that city commissioner and that mayor and say, you better get to work or I will endorse your opponent. We have to clean the house locally as well. We cannot just have a member of Congress running around doing whatever. We have to clean house locally. We need to make sure local government is working efficiently, effectively, that they're spending your tax dollars in the best way, and that they're showing up when you're having issues. That's important. Because the member of Congress is going to be in Washington, flying back in Washington, sometimes they lose touch with what's happening right here in the community. So I need you to make sure you're exercising your civic duty, holding your elected officials accountable, whether it's the member of Congress, whether it's your state senators, your state reps, or where most things happen in your life or affected in your life is happening locally. Your city, your mayors, your city commissioners, your state legislators, your county commission. When they're not doing their job, you need to make sure you go to your member of Congress, and when I'm your member of Congress, I will make sure that we are all on the same page in the district, that we're all working towards one common goal, and that is making sure that the quality of life for everyone in our district is improving. Anything else is nonsense. We will get people out of office if they're not doing what they're supposed to do.
Candidate Campbell.
That's a great question. I wonder why it keeps coming up in all of our forums. And we have career politicians sitting right here. It shouldn't come up because it should be a norm. I love you to death, Sheila. I do love you. I'm not trying to fight. Contact sport, when you hit, you got to hit back. I endorsed Sheila in the last election. Sat down with her and Willis Howard. She got in Congress, got on the phone, good friend, Willis Howard. Talk about some of these things that we're going to do. Well, I didn't get a phone call back, so I understand that. And then again, there's nobody, Sheila, in the Black Caucus that came out and said, we denounce Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Nobody said that. Don't do that. There's nobody that supported you in the Democratic Black Caucus. Stop that. But I love you. But at the same time, I ain't hard to find. I make my money as a businessman selling music. I sell concert tickets around the country. I have a legacy. I'm not like the rest of some of these people right here who have a lot of things they got going on. No, my life depends on, my legacy depends on me showing up. So when I propose bills to expand the port, I got to be there to make sure it happens. When I propose bills for affordable housing, I got to be there to make sure that happens. See, I'm like Dion. I'm not hard to find. When you do these type of things, when you go to these senior homes right now in this district, and these seniors are suffering, you got to be there. Because they shouldn't be suffering with these career politicians right here. Because if they were doing such a great job, they wouldn't have these same problems.
Thank you.
No, don't come over here. You started something. So first of all, that's a lie. I have my cell phone. I pulled up your number. I pulled up everything because I'm like, there ain't never been a day you called me that I didn't answer. And I have the text messages here to show it. And on top of that, as a member of Congress, in 1 year, we did over 200 town halls, 200. And I told you, we kicked it off right here. And when we did it, we actually partnered with the NAACP. We also did it with the Urban League, over 200. We even did meetings with conversations with the Congresswoman, where we went to people's houses and we invited everybody in the neighborhood. We did it right here at Chris Smith's house in Sistrunk, and we invited people over. We had chicken. We even did it in Tamarack, where we invited people over, and I had oxtail, because I'm like, whatever I got to do to get y'all to come, I will feed you, because I need the community to know what was going on. In addition to that, we do bi-weekly town halls, virtual town halls, so I can tell you what's going on. So this is more than about accountability and being present. This is about partnership. And when you show up, when I show up, we make things happen. And so the accountability issue is not because I was slacking. It's not about that. It's about making sure that everybody knows what the priority is. In addition to doing town halls and moving in, we also have grant clinics. In our grant clinics, we teach you how to actually apply. We even bring someone to teach you how to apply. And we make sure that Black nonprofits, as well as Black entrepreneurs, get funding. There is nobody who can tell you in Congress who is running who has done that. I'm the only person who has done that here. And I want to make it very, very clear. In addition to doing all of this, this. Every weekend, we're here having town halls at churches. We have the town halls in English, in Spanish, in Creole, in Patois, however you want it, we've been doing it. We've been in Seventh-day Adventist, so on Saturdays I'm at church. On Sundays we're having church services, and we're always contacting you. So please, don't make it seem like we're not doing the job, because I fight every day for you.
Members of Congress often face pressure from political parties, donors, and special interest groups. And so tell us about an issue where you would be willing to vote against your own party or major donors if it was in the best interest of the people of Congressional District 20. Give us a concrete example of what that issue might possibly be based on what you've seen around Congressional District 20. Let's start with, let's start with Mr. Joseph, candidate Joseph.
First level, I'm aligned with the party. My responsibility is for my constituent. So I will always vote in favor of my people. No matter what the party's at, they secondary to my constituent. But above all, to be straight to that question, when it comes to justice system, to justice reforms, to affordabilities, to also when it comes to ethics. Ethics, I don't care, you my brother, you my sister, we serving in Congress, I don't care what party you are, if you in violation of ethics, character, and good moral, I will vote away from party line to make sure you're held accountable for your actions. And beside that, when it comes to voting for social issue, for economy access and opportunities, there's no party that can take priority or precedence over my constituent. I will always put my constituent first because that's the reason I am running. Because I want to see, I'm tired of seeing my constituent always second hands. Lastly, there's no special interest group. Anybody that return you your money, return 2 monies. I don't need nobody, no special interest to finance my campaign. Zero PAC money because I don't want to owe anybody any favors because my constituent, the one that vote me, I owe them every single day, every action I had in Congress. So because of that, you best believe it. Go look at my financial report. We see zero money from special PACs, zero money from special interests because I'm here to represent you. I don't want no bosses. You are my boss. Thank you.
Candidate Manley.
Now I know where to go get chicken at when I'm hungry. I'll go to Sheila. You know, I'm a progressive, and I don't believe that the Democratic Party is working for you right now. Everyone is going to sit up here and tell you how great the Democratic Party is, how much work they've done for the Democratic Party. The newsflash, our voters don't like us right now because we are not standing up and doing what we're supposed to do. And so I will break on the party on some key issues. First of all, I'm not going to send any more of your money to Israel. I'm sorry. We need to build our country. We need to invest in housing. We need to make sure we have health care. And so, I mean, a lot of Democrats voted the other day for the Massey Amendment. I would have voted for it too. But I will break with the party in that instance, and I'm not sending any more of your money to foreign forever wars because we need it in our community. I will also break with the party on health care. I think we need Medicare for all. We need to make sure our people can go to the doctor when they're sick, that they're not having their medicines, that people are not coming out of their pocket paying, you know, all of this money when they need to see the doctor when they're sick. I'm running this way, and I believe these things because I am not funded by those special interests. Over 25,000 people have donated to my campaign, every state in the country, because they believe in me. Zero of it came from a corporation or a corporate PAC or from a special interest group. Regular people giving $5, $10. Our average donation is $19. Why? Because the party is not working for them. Washington is not working for them. So when I get there, you can count on me to stand with you because I'm not bought out. There are a lot of people in this race, people sitting up here who will sit here and tell you that they're going to stand up to special interests. But when you take a look at their campaign finance reports, what do you see? You see the insurance companies, the same people causing the affordability crisis. You see the defense contractors. You see APAC. You see all of these landlords and all of these groups giving them the money, and we wonder why we have an affordability crisis. We have an affordability crisis because Washington politicians are bought out and they're pretending that they're not.
Thank you. Candidate Sherfless McCormick.
When we talk about what the real issue is with the Democratic Party, I have come all the time and I've told everybody, we need to be loyal to the people who are loyal to us. So that means I really don't care about the party. I vote in the direction.
And rural areas that have high poverty, high unemployment. The legislation is not complete, even though it says we're going to bring money in. Nothing in there says that a percentage of the people in that neighborhood will get the jobs, or job training, or skill set development. That a percentage of the business in that neighborhood, in those neighborhoods, will get contracting opportunities. Nothing says that we're going to put more investment in early childhood education, in college education, in technical training programs. That must change, and I believe we can get that passed. Because here's what happens. When we lift up communities that have been left behind, we create greater prosperity for everyone in our country. When each person lives to their fullest potential because they're given the tools necessary, everyone benefits in this country. When our economy grows, it will be better for all of us.
Thank you. Candidate Campbell.
That's a great question. See, to lower the poverty rate, you have to create jobs. I just, again, I'm going to tell you I'm a businessman 1,000 times a night. I'm going to tell you that you have to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. You have to be tired of the same old politicians coming in here telling you that they're going to create jobs, stop crime, bring more money into the district, but they don't have a real plan. It takes a businessman that has a real plan. When I look at this congressional district, it is a beautiful place. You have different issues in Tamarack than you have in Pompano. And so you have to look at the entire body of the entire district. One thing, my plan calls for a $5 billion port expansion. My plan calls for $250 million plus a tax credit for the entertainment industry to build studios here in this district. My plan calls for $100 million in small business loans going to small businesses to be able to create jobs. See, the cost of living is going up, but your paycheck is not going up. And so if you don't have a real plan and all you have is the same old, then what are we doing? What do they say? Insanity is keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, or something like that. And that's what I'm talking about. My plan calls for the common sense approach, built by us, for us, affordable housing, built by black people, for black people. That creates jobs. That creates economic in a community. So when I go to Washington, I have no friends because I didn't take any money from anybody.
Thank you. Candidate Sherfless McCormick.
So we've been dealing with the economy on 3 fronts. The first front that we have to deal with the people who have lost their jobs. As I mentioned earlier, we have over 600,000 black women, over 650,000 black men. So I have a bill already to create a fund. And that fund is not only going to recompense or help people get back the money they lost and to get their jobs back and to pay for their attorneys, but it's also going to deal with the real issue. The real issue is the attack on diversity, equity, inclusion. Once the attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion occurred, it gave many corporations, many businesses, the excuse to fire black people and to not employ subcontractors. That has to be addressed immediately. The second thing we have to do when we talk about affordability, many people forget why everything is so expensive. It's because of the tariff war. Many companies already started raising their prices, anticipating to pay a tariff. They are not paying those tariffs, and guess what? The prices still haven't come down. We have a bill also for that, to force the companies to not only lower the prices, but to pay people back by even lowering even more, because now they're collecting money for a tariff that never came, and you're still paying, what, $100 for eggs? It's crazy. The third thing that we've been doing is attacking housing. Housing is not about just building houses. You actually have to have a strategic approach, which we have been doing. We have put money into building places like Aspire, which is right up the street, where we have affordable housing, and in the bottom of it, we actually have a resource center, where we have companies like OIC who comes in. They help you get jobs. We also have other people who come in and do continuing job education. So they do trades, and they teach you, and they also teach you how to prepare to buy a home, to prepare your credit. And the last thing that we do to help people is as you're transitioning, now that you got yourself together, we actually give cities money to put a down payment. And we've already given more than millions of dollars to cities like Tamarack and other areas. And my proudest moment is when I had a woman who used to be on Section 8. She was around 60 years old and she bought her first home, her house. And we gave her $50,000 for a down payment. Thank you so much.
Mr. Manley.
I think home ownership is one of the strongest ways we can build wealth within the black community. We still have modern day redlining. People can't get access to the capital they need to buy their first home. And so I want to take Kamala Harris's excellent plan of providing people with $20,000 in down payment assistance so they can buy their first home, because a lot of people, they work hard, they have the money to put down on their mortgage, they just don't have the cash for a large down payment. The government can help. The government can do something. Otherwise, why are we paying the government all of our taxes if we're just going to send it to war and do nothing for anyone else? We also need a jobs guarantee for everybody, something I want to focus on, legislation to guarantee a job for every person that wants one. There are a lot of people out here that want to work. There's this myth out there that nobody wants to work. A lot of people are looking for jobs out there and they can't find anything good. Government can help. There's a lot of roads out here that need to be repaved. There's a lot of homes that need to be built. There's so much that can be done in our community, and we just need to create the jobs for the people so that they can go and get them and work and take care of their families and buy homes. So I will support a federal jobs guarantee. The next thing we have to do is make sure that we are investing in small businesses for minority-owned small business owners, people that want to start businesses. They don't have access to the capital. Their dreams are dying in the parking lot of the bank because they can't afford to start a business. Let's make sure they have the capital, including those young people that have bright ideas. They're innovative. They want to do something, but they don't have the money to do it, and we can help them do it. Last thing, we need to make sure that the billionaires are paying their fair share in taxes so that we can make this economy work for everybody. So many people, young people, everyone I talk to, they can't afford to live here anymore. All of our money is going to tax breaks for people. That is not the way to run an economy. People need opportunity. They're leaving. People are leaving Broward County, they're leaving South Florida because they can't afford to live here. The rents are too high. We need to make sure we restore the economy for working people, path a wealth tax, make the billionaires pay.
Thank you. And Mr. Joseph.
If we're talking about equity, you cannot have a broke person talking about equity. If our community broke, we need to set this stage where they can accumulate funds, where they can become homeowners, because we're talking about development. This is a scam. They destroy our neighborhoods, they build 2 apartments, they create a modern day ghetto. And then our people fall for affordable. None of our people can have credit, none of our people can pay, none of our people got jobs. We need to give priority to local contractors. We need to push laws to enact to make sure contractors that locally are prioritized got the front of the bus. Because if we can feed the money to our local contractors, when you get procurement for whatever money from federal, local, state, the money will stay there. Again, we come back to the needs for our own bank. If we have money, we put it in their banks. They took money. The moment you put the money in the bank, you lose about 5 to 10% of it. You don't have control of it. We need to get control of our own funding, our own money, our own projects for us to get our community to lift it out of his. All that good talk, we keep giving all the developers billions of dollars, most of them out of state. They're not even in the state. They are investors. They see us as numbers. They see us as profits. We need to bring those money, invest. We got those talents in our district. We got our talent in our state. Let's give them priority. Let's make sure they have the front of the bus when it comes to bidding of contract. We train them how to bid for contract, to get the bidding for contract for local, state, and federal. That's the only way we can uplift our country. Not giving you the food, but teaching you how to make your own food. That's my point. That's my goal, and I would invest a lot of education when it comes to build equity in the community.
Thank you. Let's talk about public education. So, public schools in many of our black communities, certainly in CD20, continue to struggle with teacher shortages, achievement gaps, aging facilities, and unequal resources. Especially that last one on unequal resources. I serve on the diversity committee for the district. See it in too many of our predominantly black schools. What role should the federal government play in ensuring that every child, regardless of their zip code, has a free, high-quality education, and what legislation would you support to make sure that that happens? So let's start on this side. Candidate Campbell, Ms. Campbell.
Great question. I was able to work in Miami-Dade County Public School for over 20 years as a football coach. I was able to build a stadium in a blighted community at Miami Edison. I was able to partner with Miami Dolphins, building a locker room. I was able to leverage my endorsement with Adidas to give the entire district $50 million so that every kid can be able to have proper uniforms. So I know the struggles of the teachers, and I know how teachers have a shortage in pay firsthand. I was the one who spearheaded coaches getting higher pay. Most of your coaches are contract coaches, and we could not get them the higher pay because of the teachers union saying that they needed the money for teachers, rightfully so. I agree with that. We have to have a conversation with Marco Rubio. We have to have a conversation with the president, because when you gut the Department of Education and you take away those funds going back to schools and the districts, because we know what you're trying to do. You're trying to privatize the school system, just like you're trying to privatize everything else, the jail houses. You're trying to privatize TSA. And so we know the direction, but that is hurting our kids. And so that's why, again, I'm the solution guy. My plan calls for $150 million. I'm going to go fight for trade and apprentice programs. Cox, something else. Okay.
Thank you. Candidate Sheriff McCormick.
Well, the federal government can only give maybe 5 to 10% directly to schools. So I've always looked for unique ways to make sure we're funding our schools. The first thing that I supported, and the money we're trying to get into the schools, is through HHS. Many of our students have been diagnosed with learning disabilities like never before. So the federal government can give money to students and also the schools so they can have behavioral therapists and they can have other things that they need to meet their needs, which would alleviate some of the pressure of the state funding. In addition to that, I've supported every appropriation bill to make sure that we actually had the child tax credit, which we did actually put in place. In addition to that, we've also put more money when it comes to making sure that we're funding our schools so they now can also make sure that our students have what they need. And that funding comes down to things like having, some schools have laundromats there so the kids can do their laundry. Some of the schools also need to have some more tech training. One of the biggest things that we pushed in a bill that I passed along with one of my counterparts was to make sure the money that was coming from CHIPS and sciences, especially for cybersecurity, actually was going to our trade schools. Why is that important? Cybersecurity right now, there's a lack of over 3 million people to fill those jobs. A 16-year-old can actually get trained for 1 month and get a job in cybersecurity. And you know how much money they would be making? $65 an hour to work from home. Could you imagine what we could do with that training in our communities? As of right now, with this administration, they're trying to block that funding, but that's how we transition and transfer our entire community. At that point, too, those are federal jobs. So you would find more people in our district who actually have pensions, 401k. But we're going to have to take every unique opportunity to support our teachers so they can have the mental health care that they need from all the stress of trying to be the therapist, the teacher, the mama, the daddy. They're just overstretched. And that's why I've been finding every unique opportunity to pour back into our students. In addition to that, we have to make sure that mental health for the parents are available. And that fund has to be there because a lot of parents don't know how to support their students.
Thank you. Candidate Holders.
First, we must stop the dismantling of the Department of Education. We need to target funding to underserved communities. Again, we know where they are because we have legislation in place that identify these communities. Increasing the child tax credit is essential for America's future. It has lifted many people out of poverty. That should be expanded and made permanent. We should also look to see how we partner with local government, with school boards, to find matching funds. In the city of Lauderhill, when I got elected, I was able to get together with some very bright people and put together Lauderhill Education A+ plan. It would have been good if we had some matching funding from the federal government. We funded it $100,000 per year. We allow for teachers to buy things that they didn't have in their classroom and get reimbursement for it. Also, we must increase the Pell Grant program, make college free for middle-class families and low-income families. It is essential that we are competitive with the rest of the world. I've been chair or co-chair of the United Negro College Fund annual fundraising event here in South Florida for 12 years, raising more than $2.5 million over that period of time to ensure that needy kids who are bright get the chance to have assistance with paying their tuition in college. There's a state issue here also, that we must utilize that position in Congress to push for the state to put more funding in place and call out those who would like to defund our public school system. It is a tragedy impending. If we don't fix this, we're going to have more people going to prison, and we must end the school to prison pipeline. We must end it now.
Thank you. There is someone in the back that is speaking. Please, if you must, step outside. We're trying to hear the candidates. Thank you. Candidate Joseph, go right ahead.
I think Broward County has a problem with priorities. We have 6 schools that's closed this year alone because of a budget shortfall between $8 to $10 million. While we have Broward County allocated $333 million to the detention center. Let's talk about priorities. What more important? Is the education of our children or is the prison? We invest, every $85 we invest in prison, we spend $1 on education in Broward. Think about this. If we have a shortfall, they have a budget of $94 million for the education, Board of Education here in Broward, the BSO have a budget from Broward County, $333.9 million. Wait for it. 40% of this money goes to take care of jail. And they're still asking the government, they cannot pay staff. Thinking about paying teachers. Where is our priorities? Is it our teachers or jail, prison? Wait for that. 60% of people we house in Broward come from other counties. They do what's called the hollovers. They're not even from Broward. We pitch the bill. I think we need to set a priority in charge. Stop doing politics. Stop playing game with people. We face the reality. 6 schools closed this year. We have 6 more projected to be closed next year for $10 million, while we invest $233 million on prison. Choose your priority wisely.
Candidate Manley.
Okay. As someone who's in the classroom, I can tell you, teachers don't get paid a lot. That needs to change. I think teachers should be paid like firefighters. They should be paid like everybody else. The money for dealing with our children, and I can tell you, your children are terrible. You need to make sure you do something about it. But I love our children. They're amazing, and we need to invest in them like we invest in anything else. We spend so much of our money on police. We spend so much of our money on all these other projects, and pet projects and peeves. Where's the money for our classrooms? Making sure that they have money for books and technology and all the programs that we need. Broward Schools, just a few months ago, was forced to end their food and nutrition program for all the children because of funding issues. We need to make sure the Department of Education is restored and funded, and that we have more money for students with disabilities and our ESOL students. And I'm going to disagree with my Republican friend here. I think we need tuition-free college, and the government plays a role in making sure everybody can get their education. Well, I probably will agree with my Republican friend here, is we need accountability as well for the local government, for the school district. We can't be spending all our money. I don't understand why we have a school board police. I don't understand why we need all the fancy stuff. We need books. We need higher paid teachers. We need our support staff as well, our bus drivers, the people who make sure our kids get to school. They all need money as well. So we can't, it's not just about the teachers, it's about everybody that works in the school too. But we also have to codify all of this into law. We cannot wait until a Democratic president gets into office and just sign an executive order, because somebody like Trump will get in the next time and they'll just end it. It needs to be codified. And we also need to get the politics out of the schools. What Tallahassee has been doing with the book bans and the woke, anti-woke nonsense, we don't need all of that in Broward County. We need to stand up and make sure our students are getting taught history.
Thank you.
And they're educated and
Thank
they're
you.
protected.
Let me say this. The money for the detention center is much needed. If you've ever been to the Broward County, it's a regional detention center, you wouldn't put, and people care about their animals, you wouldn't put your dogs there. This NAACP, along with Broward County, have been fighting to build a new regional detention center because the children that are kept there, and they're not convicted, they're somebody's children, that are there are being held in atrocious conditions. It is the oldest building in the fleet. And so Broward County needs, fought for, with the help of the Florida legislator, including our Senator Osgood, fought to get that money, and it's been 5 years that we've been begging them to put our children in a better place and treat them humanely. So that had to be a top of the priority. And so we would certainly want to make sure we know that, just so you know, sir.
Yes.
Because if you've ever been there, the smell when you hit the front door just knocks you out. Somebody got to care about the children, even the ones that make mistakes. So that was for all of you, not just since you brought it up, but you know, that's kind of where we are. That's how that came about, because the conditions there are absolutely terrible. And so that's where we are. But let's stay on education, because we know where the money's going. So there's a growing debate over school vouchers, charter schools, curriculum restrictions, and federal support for public education. Do you believe these policies strengthen or weaken public schools, and how will your position improve educational outcomes for students in Congressional District 20? We will start on this end. Go ahead, Mr. Candidate Manley.
Thank you. No more money for private institutions, private schools. Public charter schools, give them money. Public institutions, give them money. The government just giving somebody money for their business model. If you want to start a business with private schools, go right ahead. That's fine. Do whatever you want to do. But our public dollars should go to our public schools. No more of these vouchers. Have you taken a look at some of our schools? The facilities are falling apart. We got an issue with teachers not getting paid enough. We don't have enough money per pupil in our schools. And we're trying to send that money off to some people to start a business, to make money and not be held to the same standards as our public schools. We have to invest in our public education. I'm going to say something that might get me in a little bit of trouble. We need to defund the private schools. No more public dollars for the private schools. If you want to start a business, you're in America, you can go start a business. The government doesn't need to be giving you a handout for private education. But we have a bigger issue as well, and that is that Tallahassee has been defunding our schools. Governor DeSantis in the legislature has been defunding our schools. And we are funding our schools through outdated measures such as through property taxes. So if you live in a nice fancy community like Weston, and nothing's wrong, live in Weston if you want, you might have more money for your schools over there. There's a lack of equity when it comes to funding public education, and it needs to change. We need to find another way to fund public education that is not through the Jim Crow era measures, such as through property taxes.
Thank you. Candidate Joseph.
There's a difference between a school choice and promoting and funding private school. Because school choice, I'll vote for voucher any day, because I will also bring funding, because the parents, your zip code cannot prevent your kids from attending school where your kids can have a better education. Your neighborhood cannot be the only reason to prevent you from going from Sustrok to go to Sunrise in a school that's with the better grades. Again, we go back to accountabilities. We need to stop complaining about, oh, we don't have enough. We do have enough. But what we need to do, we need to go from local government, state, county, and federal. Because when the federal give the money, we need to itemize them to see where the monies go. Good point what you brought earlier from my question. I'm not against investment in detention. That's to clarify. Because we already got a package of $20 million go to juvenile, which is our support to double that. But we have to start prioritize our spending, because we cannot keep spending. If you give your children $50 and 20 minutes to come back, he told you, Daddy, I need something for $5, you're going to question, what did you do with the 50? Why we keep on spending, wasting money that allocated for our kids on projects that you planning 20 years ago that's never materialized, and then every fiscal year we tell the government we don't have enough? That's mismanagement. I think we don't have people to blame. We need to blame the people that's responsible for it. And most of politicians get kicked back from those private schools they pretend they're against, because they are the ones that vote the law to make sure they got funding. Let's stop play politics. Let's live the reality.
Thank you. Candidate Holness.
School choice, vouchers, whatever you call it, is actually defunding our public school systems. The argument that my friend made to my left is about, well, you know, if you're in the wrong zip code, you have issues. But let me tell you this. When you take the money from those schools and put them in someone's hand to send them to a private school, where they actually charge more than the voucher allows. If they were just taking the money that comes with the voucher and not charge parents more money, that's one thing. The other issue is they're not held to the same standards as our public schools. They can refuse whoever they want to. So guess what happens? The kids who have the greatest needs stay in the public schools. And if a child goes to these private schools, and they are not performing well, they can kick them out. And they don't have to send the money back. So it's a serious issue within our community that we must address. No funding from the federal government to this scheme, as far as I'm concerned. I won't allow for that to happen. If I'm there, my vote won't contribute to that no matter what, because it's wrong. And this is someone, by the way, whose children, some went to public school all their life, some went to public school and private school, but guess what? I had a little extra money I could pay. The parents who don't have that extra money, they shouldn't be penalized by those funding that go into those schools. And I didn't ask for no subsidies either. I paid for it from my own pocket. And that's the way it should be. The public schools is for everyone and should be fully funded and not defunded by this scheme.
Thank you. Candidate Sheffield McCormick.
So I want to start off with what I mentioned earlier. It's very important that when you're running for a seat, you understand what your jurisdiction is. Federal government does not have jurisdiction over whether you have public or private schools. It is beyond our jurisdiction. We only can contribute 5 to 10% into their budget directly through education. However, we have to spend time figuring out unique ways to try and do oversight. That unique way of doing oversight is putting money into the school systems for the students through things like the healthcare and human services. Another thing that we can do also is when we look at the education, what they're doing in dismantling it, they're trying to stop enforcement from stopping discrimination. Title V, trying to make sure that there's no way for people can be protected. That's our responsibility. And although we have someone who's crazy at the Department of Education who only knows about wrestling and is trying to, even today she made an announcement that when it comes to disciplining black students that there should be no oversight over that, and you know why, because black students are actually disciplined more. It's important that we know what we can and we cannot do. And so in fact, we have to make sure we're putting money back into the students, back into the community, and meeting all of their needs. I agree, I am not a fan of us just having private institutions taking money and not doing the job. But we have to acknowledge that a lot of parents who do go to these institutions is because they are desperately seeking help for their children with disabilities. And we can help those parents by putting money to those parents. We can help those students by putting more money into it. And so I believe in everything that everybody talked about. And the truth is, nobody sitting here would ever take that vote because we don't vote on that in Congress. And everybody here should know the scope of our jurisdiction. When it comes to even the juvenile sites, we don't have control over that either. But we can have unique opportunities to put money in for it, like the new building. That's federal. I would love to work with them so we can actually fund a new building, making sure they have resources and programs. That's something that we could do with the state. Thank you.
Candidate Campbell.
Yep, that's another good question. I love education. I've been in business of education, and sending over 1,000 kids in college. A lot of them got a degree, a lot of them NFL, a lot of them are multimillionaires. We've been able to change lives. When it comes to, as a football coach, we deal with it on an everyday basis. See, kids don't want to go to the public school. Majority of your high school football players, girls, boys, basketball, sports, they all prefer going to the charter school. Why? Because the charter school is giving them $700 a piece. The charter school is feeding them steaks, chicken, pigeon peas and rice, ackee and saltfish, when the public school is doing what they've been doing for so many years. So it is a competition thing. The public schools need to change their way of doing business. In any sound business, if you are losing customers, then you need to really take a look at how you are operating as a business. And that's why I stand here as a businessman, and my plan calls for pouring money into these kids, into these apprentice programs, into all trade, because every kid is not going to college. Those are real solutions. I come here today, folks, with real solutions. I don't come here to play games with you. if you gutted the Department of Education, me and Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, or whoever it is, we got to have a real conversation, because you cannot leave these kids behind. Our kids, yeah, I'm courteous with the time.
Thank you.
Not you.
I was going to get going. We're going to do 1 minute. So this is quick here. What's your position on large-scale data centers being placed into CD20? We will start large-scale data centers. Data centers being placed, yes. I said large-scale data centers. I apologize. And we have 1 minute, so we'll start with Sheriff McCormick.
So with data centers, right now we're seeing that there's a lot of environmental problems that are coming up. So I don't think we should rush in that direction. People look at it as hope as getting jobs, but we don't want to have hope for a job that's going to kill you. And that's what we're seeing right now, the contamination with the data centers, what they're actually emitting throughout the community. Already we know when it comes to environmental justice, we're the last people to get that. And my fear is if we had a data center here and it was emitting or poisoning our water, even if it was doing, I don't believe they would tell us. I think they would conceal it, like in other areas where they have done it, and this has been proven. So we have to make sure that anything that's going to come into our community actually has long-lasting benefits without consequences that can destroy us and our future. And we've seen the harms that they've done. When they contaminate the water and people around them, we've seen higher rates of women who actually who are losing their children, having stillborn, and we're also seeing men being sterilized, in addition to the health and the cancer that we're seeing it. And I'm not willing to have that risk, not here, not on my watch.
Thank you. Candidate Campbell.
I do not believe in data centers. Under no circumstances, data centers, pollution, data centers is going to take all your water. Data centers are not healthy. When you look at what they did in Memphis, by just putting these data centers in the black community, that's where it's going at, they've affected those people's quality of life. Elon Musk didn't even get approval to put those data centers in Memphis. And when you look at this field across the street from my good friend Cece's restaurant, 128 acres sitting over there. Trust me, they're looking at that area to put a data center, and that will not be that will not benefit the people of Congressional District 20. So I say to you, when you look at what you have to, the individual you have to vote for, think about, are they easy to be paid off to bring data centers here?
Thank you. Candidate Holness.
So we must restore the funding to the EPA and expand the Supreme Court, who basically rolled back our environmental protection system that has been in place for so long. That must be done. And then Congress must also put funding in place to stop environmental abuse, not only from data center, but from other things that are harming many communities, especially communities that are underserved, communities that don't have wealthy people in it, communities that need a voice from those communities to stand up and fight for them. We should also put measures in place that limit the impact these data centers have on our communities. And yes, I did visit the Juvenile Detention Center. It is atrocious what goes on there when I was on the Juvenile Justice Board.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Not only I'm against the data center because those are billionaires that want to play. We need to take a pledge. Any politicians not supposed to take a dime. And to make a pledge, make sure the government not funding those fantasy of those billionaires. Florida, we look at Flint, Michigan. We see the after effect of Flint, Michigan. 22 years, still today they don't have clean waters. In Florida, with the lacking of EPA enforcement, we the next victim. And I think any politician that's in cahoot with any data center provider, that don't take precedence over my constituent that cannot eat, that cannot feed, that don't have a job. I think putting people to work, that should be the priority, not data center.
Candidate Manley.
So you're not going to get rid of the data centers, but we do need stronger regulations on them. And like all polluters, they need to make sure they pay for their own utilities and their own water and not using the public's water and our utilities, because we end up paying the bill at the end of the day. We need stronger regulations. Like one other candidate said up here, we need to expand the Supreme Court because the EPA has been gutted by the Trump administration so that his friends can get all the permits to frack and drill all across the country. We got to shut that down. We can't allow that. We need a stronger EPA restored. But this goes beyond just the issues of pollution from the data centers. This goes to the issue of how AI is going to transform our entire economy. And it is something that I'm extremely concerned about when it comes to labor, when it comes to our democracy. We need protections because this technology is already 10, 15 years ahead of Congress. And to regulate it, you got to have somebody that understands how this technology works. I have an AI safety plan. You can read it on my website.
Thank you. One last question, and I've seen Golden Victor number 44, which is our Eastern Stars. I've seen the Shriners. I see the Kappas. I see the Qs. I see the Lynx. I see Z, Phi B. I see Delta, Sigma Theta. Yes, I see y'all. Okay. My first vice president is giving me the look. Z, Phi B, ooh wee, I see them. I see them. They're always partners. Who am I missing? And so tell them, these, our community, what do you believe is the greatest civil rights threat facing America today? We will start, Mr. Campbell.
Greatest civil rights threat that's facing us today is us. Whether we make a decision in this race, the world watching, vote for a African American candidate coming out in major numbers like a presidential election. Because if we don't, and if we let the lady did not help build your facility, but she helped build a prison for ICE detention. If we allow her to win this race, we will not win the general. What you see in the Democratic Party will crash. So we have to take a stand, and it all starts right here. The world is watching Congressional District 20, and don't you
Thank you.
miss this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Candidate Sheriff McCormick.
So the biggest obstacle, civil rights obstacle we are facing right now is economic justice. And I kept on harping on this over and over. With the push against diversity, equity, and inclusion, it has been used as an excuse to destroy our families economically. With the rising cost, our seniors now do not have any money to eat and survive. If we do not get our people employed as they're kicking them off of their jobs, we're talking about people who have degrees. We're talking about people who are educated and have the skills. We already know that for black people, we are usually the ones who are overeducated and overqualified. And now we're being the first ones fired. The reason why this is going on is because they want to replace those jobs and give us black jobs with mediocre people. And that's the truth. And if we do not stop them now, we will not have any kind of economic standing, we will not have a future for our children, and we will lose more homes. So we have to fight this economic injustice right now, and I have legislation to do exactly that. Not just
Thank
promises, but action.
Thank you. Candidate Holness.
Economic inequities. That's the number one thing. And while I was at Broward County, that was my number one fight. And going to Washington, that will be my number one fight. To make sure that when we spend that $8 trillion that is in the budget, that it reaches all Americans. Tied into that is a criminal justice system that needs reform, because if you lock folks up, then guess what happens? They're going to have a tough time getting a job. In Broward County, I put measures in place to help to change that. One is our juvenile justice civil citation program that I passed that now requires that a police officer don't have to give a ticket, arrest a young person for minor offenses. Income disparity is also a major issue. On average, a white person with a high school diploma makes as much as a black person with a bachelor's degree. That's
Thank
wrong.
you. Thank you. Candidate Joseph.
Justice reforms and equality. That's the biggest civil rights we're facing. And this is since 1994. They do a reboot of the justice system. In 1982, Ronald Reagan tried to start something. In 1994, Biden, Clinton, they make it worse. I think we need to have a serious vote, serious talk on justice reform, not just politics. Stop taking money from the prison system, making sure our black kids have equal chance when they go to the justice system. Because one kid cannot be spending 20 years for kicking a bottle, another got probation for 2 days. We need to make sure we play in the field and justice reform. If we don't take action, the more that going, the longer it goes, the more the worse it's gonna get. Since 1994, we keep complaining. We saw Joy Fair, we saw all those things happen, but we keep complaining without taking action. I think that's the most dire need for this facing us right now.
Thank you. Candidate Manley.
Income inequality, I think, is the greatest civil rights threat to all of us. The billionaire and trillionaires who are buying our elections and how that has led to the fascism we're seeing in this country affects all of us. It affects you whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're Hispanic, whether you're Asian, whether you're gay, whether you're straight, whoever you are. You can't get a job and you can't afford to live in this community. You don't have any opportunity. You can't get a high quality education. You don't know. You're not educated enough to make a vote. You don't know that they're taking away your right to vote because they have bought the politicians to destroy the education system to keep you dumb. That's the reality. That's why they're defunding the public education system, because they want uneducated voters who can't look and see what they're doing behind the scenes and how they're destroying our democracy. I'm afraid we might not even have the right to vote for very much longer. They're going to test it with this election, and in 2028, God help us if they try to cancel the election or refuse to leave office.
Thank you. We're going to do a 1-minute closing, and you tell us anything you want to tell us. And since you got the microphone, we'll begin on that end with Mr. Manley. 1 minute closing.
Soon. First thing I want to say is I'm not a politician. I didn't get into this because it's great and it's good to be doing this. I'm tired. This is a lot of work. I could have went and made money. Went to law school to go work for Gordon Weeks. But I decided to do this because we cannot have a country with its eyes off the ball again, with fascism destroying our democracy, and the same old career politicians that come to you and tell you, I've done this, I've been in office, and I'm going to fight with you. They don't care about you, and they don't care about us. It's time for one of us to be in Washington to fight for all of us, to deliver health care, to make sure we're good stewards of our money, that we're protecting our environment, and that we're standing up against people like Ron DeSantis. I've stood up against him. I took him to court, and we beat him. I'm ready to take that fight to Washington so we can do the same thing to Donald Trump and to any Democrat or Republican who get in our way. They will be defeated.
Thank you. Candidate Joseph.
I'm here to tell you, I'm one of you. I'm battle tested. I think I'm the only veteran on this table. I earned a Purple Heart in Afghanistan, fighting for your freedom, fighting for you, leave my children, my family behind. I want to continue to serve you with integrity, moral, with highest ethics. I can guarantee you, you vote for me November 3rd, go into DC, not only you have a leader that battle tested, you have an activist. They usually say, don't mix the two. You have to be an activist before you become a politician. I don't want the title of politicians to wear it as a pride. I want to be represent you, fighting for you, same way I fight in the war for you today and as long as I can. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Holness. Okay.